Let's get into a movie that I have been mighty psyched to see. It's the new Saw movie, Spiral from the Book of Saw. Chris Rock leads this new movie as Zeke, a detective heading up the investigation of a possible Jigsaw copycat who's targeting cops with deadly traps. I think this might be the most in the middle I've been on a movie in quite a while. Basically, what happened is there's things that I loved about what they did with this new installment, and then there were things that just felt like flat out swings and misses to me. But let's kick off this review with the good stuff here first. The movie is tight, to the point, and downright brutal. And I kind of dug how they just really went for it full force in that sense. I thought the movie looked real good too. High production value, striking pops of color, and also a very strong sense of atmosphere. I thought the traps were great and effectively tied to why this killer was targeting these particular victims. And then when it comes to the core concept driving this particular installment forward, which is, of course, a Jigsaw-like killer targeting cops to make a point, I thought it was real ambitious, well worth going for, and something that could have been a great way to utilize the Saw blueprint and say something valuable with it. The problem winds up being that they don't get there at all in that respect. Spiral is really good at throwing a ton of big ideas out there, but then it has nothing to say about them. So that then reduces Spiral to a movie that essentially does follow the Saw formula: trap scene, dialogue-driven investigation scene, trap scene investigation, and so on until the mystery is solved. There was definitely something about watching Spiral and seeing the traps play out that had me thrilled to no end to be back in the Saw world, but that excitement did eventually dissipate for a number of reasons, and a big one being the lack of substance there. Another thing that I was having a pretty tough time with were the cop characters, Rock's included, really. I don't know if these are performance or direction issues, but all of the dialogue-heavy scenes are really just a whole bunch of people yelling at each other and insulting each other. I did very much get that there was extreme tension between Zeke and the rest of the force, but the arguments they were having just started to feel so repetitive, grating, and just weren't adding all that much anymore. Then, of course, there's the mystery of it all. Who's the killer? And no, I'm obviously not going to spoil that answer for you here, but I do want to tell you, I jotted down a time code as I was watching the movie when I thought I had figured it out. Turns out I was right, and the time code comes very early on in the film, too early for me. I can't say whether the filmmakers were really working hard to hide this information, or maybe if it wasn't a priority to have a big reveal at the end. But if they did intend to have a build and who is it kind of feel to the movie, the end result is a pretty big failure for me. I am gonna give Spiral 2.5 Deweys out of 5 on the Dewey Decimal movie scale. I am a fan of this franchise, the traps, and how the Jigsaw killer goes about testing victims. So I do really think that there was inherent entertainment value in this movie because I love the series so much. But that doesn't mean I'm blind to the fact that the premise of this particular installment, Jigsaw putting corrupt cops to the test, essentially suggests to the viewer that the movie is going to have something to say about law enforcement corruption, and then it doesn't. Again, I am a Saw fan, and a big priority for me is always the creativity of the traps and the scares, but I'd still like to see a movie do something with a concept like that. As for the traps, though, yeah, they're good ones. They had me cringing, squirming, and making me wonder, would I have the guts to do that to save my life? But when it comes to a movie that I think had way more potential, having good traps is basically only ticking one single box of many that could have been ticked to create a far more satisfying experience. So that is where I landed on Spiral. It does sound like I'm teetering more negative rather than being completely torn, but that's what it is on this one. Guys, thank you so much for watching this review. Before I leave you, I've got Patreon shoutouts to give. This round is going to Rosa, Steven, Justin, and Efren. 4 wonderful individuals right there. They've all been members of the team for a good while. I've gotten to know them through the Slack community, and I can't speak highly enough about all 4 of them. So to all of you, thank you so much for continuing to support the campaign. I appreciate it. And then for everyone else out there watching this review, like and share this one before you leave it, and stay tuned. So many more movie reviews to do. I'll see you guys soon.